What is up, everybody? This is TCOY, also known as Richard, and finally, with proper sound, hopefully, I'm coming back to you guys with another casted game playing the Holy Roman Empire against, I would say, one of the hardest factions to play against as the Holy Roman Empire, the Mongols, because they have such a good and hard early way to counter. But we're going to just focus on Holy Roman Empire gameplay. I am currently sitting on Platinum 1. And you can see we have our scout out here. I actually saw there was a sheep right here. Specifically, the map is called Altai. So you'll find that you can see he got the triple stack right there. He's going to pick up the sheep right here. So we have a bit of a different style. Most people go on to sheep immediately and then transition into the gold. But what I've noticed at the moment, instead of going for the fast castle type of gameplay, I'm focusing on getting a bit of a very early wood lead. You can see just being proactive, we do eventually get the kill on the Carnier, which means those sheep are available, and then immediately going back with our sheep to kind of go and contest this. So you can see we just walled off here just to stop any unnecessary tower rushing, which is very common for the Mongol player. I think if you go look at the map, he's surprisingly on sheep, but they generally go for wood in the beginning. There you can see he went for gold. Town center, nice on top of the deer, on top of the wood, very cool. But let's focus on the gameplay from our side here. So you can see he tries to go for the tower rush here, and this is good and bad. Firstly is you have 4 idle villagers not gathering, but the one thing you want to do is you want to siege down as soon as possible and make sure your siege lands on top of the building, when you start. The reason being is you get that you deny or you cancel that resources that he spent. I don't think it's all of it, it's a percentage of it, but it helps. The thing can be finished building but already halfway down sieging. So 4 villagers is what you need to maintain good villager production with 1 town center. And you can see I am keeping 2 villagers on the wood line because I need to keep on top of building houses, expanding the base and research, and I have 5 on the gold. And then now we know we already checked up here, picked up the sheep right here, so you can see it's a generous amount of sheep at the base. And then suddenly, expecting villagers, I think I saw one coming through right here, expecting them to come through. If you have to fight villagers, except against the English, you always want to make sure your numbers is 1 more than what they have. So I pulled a wood villager and 2 others, and instead of chasing down the villagers, I focused on sieging down that and then getting my own defense in place. So all we're doing now is just playing the same game that he's playing, by denying any base harassment, or once this is set up, you're in trouble, because then you'll start losing villagers. So all I'm trying to do is see where he is, just use it as a mini scout. You could probably train a second scout to help you harass, but you can see we're just running now, trying to pick up some more sheep. And at the same time, transitioning with our prelate to inspire the villagers onto the wood and onto the deer, which is a better food source. And you can see how much overcapped we are on the gold. So it means in this type of scenario, you could probably just do some research very early on. Nice little scout here on the gold. That's a bit high. Usually they go 2 on the gold, but we're just focusing on picking up as much extra food and then denying anything. So other things you can look out for when you're running around, if you see the deer jump around, or like here I saw that sheep was captured, I can actually see the town outpost going up here. So again, this is a bit of overkill, but the focus here was to try and kill the villagers. So we were sieging down that, and then once the threat is gone, just dropping off the food and then going straight back to what we need to. We are still chopping wood here, so we are able to then build the outposts and keep them up, and then keep a defense of the on our food source. What a lot of them do early on is they also get some, I think they have access to early, I want to say early horsemen, or that's only in the feudal age. Again, our outpost goes down, and we see the outpost being built here and pulling 3 villagers, plus this one, just because the Khan doesn't do a lot of damage. I mean, it's 2 damage early on, so all we want to do is focus on killing villagers and then denying the outpost. So you can see you also forcing him to micro the different villagers, and we're just control 4ing the group and at the same time keeping production up. You can see here I ran out of wood, so I had to do a bit of long distance chopping, and that's gonna also cost me a bit of time. So you know, I'm not the best player at all by miles, but the focus is just to you know, deal with Mongol players in a better way. I think I struggle against Mongols specifically, but this game ended up feeling very, very rewarding. I think I want to stick into this mode. There's a caster mode as well, but I think this game is worth watching like this because there's a few interesting moments in the game. I think that's worth mentioning. So now all we're doing, you can see I'm sitting on 13 villagers on food. I transferred 5 villagers onto stone, so when we do go to the feudal age, which is very late, you usually get around 4-minute 30 feudal age, but you know, we picked up 12 sheeps excluding the carcasses, a very, very generous amount of food here, probably about 4,000 food just on the sheep alone. And going for Archon Chapel, that leaves space in between the town center for farms, and it gives you enough space to kind of expand, and it does just touch the wood line, so you can get away with it, but that wasn't the goal right now. Again, we're just trying to focus on scouting out what is the enemy doing and playing a little bit of safe, because he lost a villager in a bit of downtime, he lost a Khan and sheep here. And early on, they have a bit more microing that they need to do with the things like this, where they have to go build the uvu and the stable. You know, so now you can see he's going onto the wood line. Also have a villager back here, probably going to try and trade, I'm not sure. And then, yeah, just playing our game and focusing on pushing up that villagers now on the gold. You can see we're going to eventually start rallying out to gold or pull the Archon Chapel villagers onto gold. And once I reach the 450 and a little bit more on the stone, I think. Yeah, so outposts, the upgrades are a little bit cheaper as the Holy Roman Empire, so I think the 450 is the golden number, which allows you to, or 460, that allows you to upgrade 2 outposts and build a second town center. So that's pretty cool. So we have 6 villagers on wood now, 12 on the deer, just focusing primarily on the deer, and you know, going into checking out what the enemy is doing. And remember, they've been feudal now a little longer, so you need to respect that, because they'll be able to pump out units earlier. We can go for barracks, and for you can do a very aggressive feudal age play as the HRE, where you go for men at arms, a few spearmen and archers, so you can do that. So you need about 3 villagers then on gold, I think 8 on wood, and then, you know, I think about 21 on food, and I will have a consistent high supply of food, enough to maintain the men at arms. So we scout out the Kesik here, which is a heavy melee cavalry. It's like a early knight for the French. So they also have that. I actually only learned this very recently. It's not something I knew. But they also have this healing effect, which I'm not sure how it works yet. If you guys care to explain that to me, I'd appreciate it. But you can see the push is coming this side. I don't know, I think they felt this was maybe quite defended because of the outpost that they spotted early on when they lost the Conyer. But you know, now we're already at 9 minutes to go to the castle age, and you can see the outpost is going to do great work against you know, the very early units that doesn't have the highest range armor, but it does make a difference. You can see they take quite a bit of damage, and they don't have as high health as normal knights do. I think the normal knight has 350 or something, and this is only 100 and 145. So they do take some damage. And every night, I'm actually curious how much resources it is. 120 food, that's 200 resources lost per Keshik. That's interesting. So he's pushing up here. You can see the outpost going up, and this is, you know, great because we have emergency repairs. There's no way this is going to be sieged down. So this is free resources. We've had some villager kills. You know, we have the vision. All of this vision you can see is from this outpost all the way up to here. So that's huge amount of vision that you get from the outpost. That's great. So we can exactly see what's going on. You can also click on the outpost and try and click the villager, because you can see it's almost within that attack range. Sometimes you get lucky enough to do that. And this is kind of when things get interesting. So I would have my town centers on 2, my scouts, if I know where he is. Oh, he was killed back here. Okay. And any attacking army that I have, whether it be your men-at-arms, on something else. So I garrison the villagers beforehand, right? And then I just give the knights a bit of a run around, because they don't do as much damage as French knights when they're charging. You can see, you know, they take a lot of damage, and it's 200 resources they lose per knight. So we're just pumping out men-at-arms. We quickly got the upgrade. We have enough gold to sustain that. Our focus, and this is the main problem you're going to run into as Castle Age Holy Roman Empire players, is you can see there, you got a villager. Okay, you know, one, there we go. And then, okay, got both. So that's 1,000 resources gone. So that adds up very quickly. We have the army here, so we're visible, or we have his army visible, and you have to counterattack mistakes, because that's 1,000 resources mistake, but you also don't know what's happening. So I take a generous army, 9 to 12, 9 to 15, especially if you get the early blacksmith upgrades. You know, they come very, very much in handy. You know, look at the timing here. If I didn't push, he was going to get Castle Age, and this was going to be a whole different game. So I push in, but remember, these are the same as the knights, 155 health, but they have 4 armor. So 1 extra armor isn't huge, but they do have the blacksmith upgrades, which you can get, which gives them 6 range armor, which is huge. So all we are doing is we want to upset the economy, focusing up on sieging down the resources he needs for the H3 landmark. He can't come and cancel this because he already started building it. I would have just cancelled it and built it right here under the town center, but these are upgraded men-at-arms with extra +2 damage, and they do extra damage once they get the heavy maces. I wonder if we will see that. I think we'll see that. Anyway, sending them in all different directions. We actually pick up that he's trading as well, 70 gold per trade plus food. So be very careful of this early on, especially for Mongol players. They have very sufficient trading. And again, just retreating my units, keeping the idle time going, and focusing on sieging down the landmark. And you can see the army here, keeping control of the base, producing villagers, and trying to have as little idle time as possible with the villagers. So now we keep building up men-at-arms, because we know that's not really, he doesn't have anything to counter that until he goes into the Castle Age, which he was trying to do. And all we're doing now is trying to lose as little units as possible, but also creating as much idle time as possible. So again, 5 or 6 men-at-arms, send it into the base, and you can see here we went to just deal with this little army at the back, because our next goal would be to probably go for relics. We know there is quite a few, so let's hop over to the caster mode here. So we have no upgrades on my side, wheelbarrow, nothing. He actually has wheelbarrow. I am surprised. Yeah, I actually don't have wheelbarrow. Wow. 15 minutes into the game, no wheelbarrow, guys. So you can see by that means alone, it's not a good game in any sense. But the main thing is we want to upset the economy, and he's also going to try and, you know, disrupt anything. So 4, 5, my key bindings, keeping an eye out on what's happening here. We know this is just distractions. You want to focus on getting villager kills or idle time. That's your goal here. And now we have the extra range armor coming in shortly. That's going to increase your survivability of these units by a lot. Also, let me know if the sound is okay. If the in-game sound is too loud, the clicking or anything like that, I would appreciate it, because it's a brand new microphone, so I'm not 100% sure if it's good yet. And you can see more men-at-arms being produced here. Very heavy on the gold, so we can do the upgrades. Eventually get wheelbarrow, get the wood upgrade, and transition into any additional food sources, because we did run out of that sheep. So, you know, we are in a very comfortable position now. We found out the trade, but there's no way he kills this, because these are glorified men-at-arms. They have less health and less damage because of the extra damage from the maces. So there's no way, even in 1v1, the men-at-arm wins this fight. And you can see now with that extra range armor how much less damage they take from 15 arrows compared to what the knights were taking from us. So he goes again for the landmark because he knows that's what he needs. He transitioned nicely to a food source here at the back of the berries. Gold nice and safe up here, and still a few traders, but that's quickly being found out and quickly being killed. And again, it's killing the resources. So as the Holy Roman Empire, you're not focusing on trying to overwhelm your opponent. It's like a slow burn, you know, like a general roast cooker. You slowly char them and get the perfect temperature until you're ready to go very heavy and finish the game. It's very overwhelming from an enemy perspective because you need to get the timings right, but early mistakes, you know, is base layout. You can see all these houses, they are out of place. They should have been all at the back here. This landmark could have probably been between the two town centers. Those things are more important, you know. But yeah, so from a base perspective, let me just pause here. I want to quickly show you guys from my perspective here. We're sitting with this view, right? So I know the gold is at the back here. I've looked and there's no villagers on that. There's no gold on the top corner here. So the next direction for the gold should be here. So that's why you can see there's men-at-arms over here. Because I'm thinking, if I was the Mongol player, where would I be getting resources? And that's how, you know, you can kind of think ahead of what the enemy is doing. We also have our monastery ready, keeping the villager production up, and you can see the wood is increasing nicely now. That will transition into your blacksmith upgrades and also housing and siege weapons. So we also want to start focusing on getting the relics, and that's the job of the Mongols. And the keybinds on the units, it's what makes the difference here. So you can see 4, 5, 6 base. If you have a scout, that's 1. So I can very quickly jump between all the different groups while at the same time keeping an eye on my villagers, transitioning into different resources, and isolating any, you know, growth from the enemy. So another thing you need to focus on, especially when you are sieging down, you can see now we have the +2 range attack. So these men-at-arms, even castle age, you know, if there's no crossbows in here, these villagers won't do anything against these men-at-arms. Especially, you can see the knight is doing more of the killing than the town center with that attacks. These men-at-arms will take so much fire from this town center without dying, and all you are doing is making sure that you're starving them out. So we are picking up the relics. We actually got this one, haven't moved them yet. As the Holy Roman Empire, you can actually click on your prelates, and that will cycle through your different prelates. We have 1 relic already in. We want to pick up this one eventually, and we're also starting to siege on the enemy right now. Now, another thing to notice is, you know, what's happening on the map. So you can see the Mongol player is right here, 15 villagers. isolated. And let's just hop onto this perspective again, just to make it a little bit more how you would experience it as a gamer. So this is what we see right now. We are checking on expanding. I am focused on relics right now. Our villagers are moving. There's a little bit of microing going, popping back to the base and just checking in on them. F1 is my key for all my military buildings. You can tab through your military buildings. My blacksmith upgrades are in, my armies are being produced, and we're focusing on building siege. If you haven't had a ram or two very early on into your castle age, these men at arms are a complete waste, because if they have an army of 8 crossbow or less, even sometimes 4 or 5, or like the Ottomans get their gunpowder units very early on, it destroys the game, because you have nothing that can apply pressure and destroying production buildings that will pose the biggest threat to your opportunity to closing down the game, right? So then I notice up here there's villagers being migrated, and we just go for a very, very, very tasty WOLOLO attempt, and I think that's 18 villagers. Boom. If that's not satisfying, I do not know what is. I mean, that is 18 beautiful villagers converted, and I think at this point he just taps out and decides that is it, I've had enough. That's not a nice way to go out, is by losing literally 18 villagers that are floating to heaven on the other side. Oh, but what a satisfying game if you play it like that. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think of the sound, and see you in the next one. Goodbye.